After all the noise and chaos of the Consumer Electronics Show last week, I've decided to take a quick break in the Californian countryside to enjoy a spot of peace and quiet, and maybe even listen to a bit of music. Wouldn't it be lovely, though, to be able to hear every single instrument or every single chirrup of nature all the time? Well, there is a growing trend right now to allow you to be able to do just that. It's going to cost you, though. Ow! Cue the latest attempt by the industry to get us listening to our tunes on better, more expensive equipment, all sporting badges marked high-res audio.
I want to bring back real music.
Musician Neil Young has put his name to the Pono player that plays very, very large, high-quality audio files called FLAC, which can be even bigger than full CD-quality WAV files. Here comes the AK240 player and headphone combo, which will cost you around $4,000. And this Sony Walkman on show at CES last week costs $1,200. The problem, we're told, is that these days many of us are used to listening to our music in less than ideal circumstances, on cheap headphones and on smartphones. And, just as importantly, we're listening to music files that have been too compressed. Full CD quality music files, those files we call WAVs, are pretty huge. In order to fit the tunes on our computers and phones, and to download and stream them through our internet connections, they've had to be highly compressed into formats like MP3 and M4A. And those are the tunes that eclectic Radio 1 DJ and producer B Traits ends up using at her gigs.
I show up to a DJ gig with an SD card, and I plug it into this machine, and it's got my entire music library on it. It's incredibly convenient, rather than carrying around a massive bag of vinyl.
But in order to compress your files, there are compromises that need to be made. If you want to make your audio or video file smaller, you can remove information from it. For example, this part of the image has had an awful lot of information removed from it. We're not using many pixels or many colours, and I think you'll agree the result is rubbish. While this part of the image has had no information removed from it at all, and it feels, well, like I'm in your living room with you, I'm sure. And so it was that these high-res FLAC music files on this very expensive player did sound better than the equivalent MP3s. A bit. But the question is it worth that massive increase in file size, and cost? What's interesting is this middle part of the image has also had some information removed. We're not using quite as many pixels as that part or quite as many colours. The question is, can you tell the difference? And for those who do want to hear more quality, those larger WAV files should be enough for most listeners, whereas the massive FLAC files also contain audio frequencies that the human ear can't even hear. Now, what's the point of that?
Sounds above and below our range of hearing may actually affect us anyway. We don't know enough about that. We know that infrasonic sounds, sounds below the range of human hearing, do affect our body. Just go to a drum and bass club, for example, and you'll feel the difference rather than hear it. Ultrasonic information may well affect us in the same way. Even though you don't consciously hear the difference, you may feel the difference.
We'll think that there's much difference between the enormous high-res audio files and standard CD-quality WAV files.
I think it depends on the sound recording. I think it depends on the person listening, the state of their ears. It depends on the equipment they're listening to, and it depends on where they're listening to it. So notionally, yes, but very often, no.
Perhaps a compromise between huge file sizes and all that extra information is being developed here. A file type known as MQA, which encodes all that inaudible information in a more efficient way than FLAC to keep file sizes down to approximately the same size as WAV.
MQA uses insights from neuroscience that remind us that hearing's our most important sense and that the things that are most critical are time and not frequency.
Pono means righteous. Pono is the one, the whole. It's a Hawaiian word.
For artists who are looking for new ways to promote the sale of their music and charge more for it, high-res audio is certainly something they can shout about. But at the moment, there's not even an agreed standard that qualifies a track or a player for being called high-res. And interestingly, in Neil Young's high-res Pono music service this week, the #1 album is Neil Young with After the Gold Rush. So the high-res audio folk are saying things like, you can hear the music how the artists originally intended. I thought it was worth asking an artist about that, so I opened my phone book and picked one at random. Here's Sir Paul McCartney.
Obviously, you know, when you make the music, you're in a studio and you're trying to make it absolute the best quality, the best experience for someone listening to it. And unfortunately, the kids are going to listen to a lot of it on phones and not even put the headphones in. So your records are... And you go, I spent hours on the high fidelity for that piece of music, you know, and it's come down to...
It goes without saying that the technology that produces music has changed immeasurably. And I wonder whether you hark back and say it was actually better when it was rawer and you had to get it right first time, or whether you kind of embrace the stuff that's going on now.
The actual technology of how you deliver music doesn't matter to me, because we've been through vinyls, tapes, cassettes, CDs, downloads, streaming, so that doesn't really matter. The process of making the music, I do chunder on sometimes to young bands and younger people I'm working with and say, you know, it was kind of easier. Everyone who made records used this routine. 10:30, be ready to go. 1:30, we expect you to have finished 2 songs. Mixed, tape, done. You'd go home at the end of the day and you'd accomplished 4 songs. And I look back at them now, you know, it's like, it's Michelle, it's Nowhere Man, it's Yesterday. It's songs that have lasted. This is, I really advise kids now, you had to write the song before you go in. Sounds obvious, but people don't do that so much these days. They go in and they'll jam in, and, oh, that was a good bit. Get that on the Pro Tools. Okay, let's use that. And it's just a new way of working. It's much more luxurious, but I don't think it's as productive. And I once said to George Martin, what was it like when you were recording, which was just a period before us? He said, you'd be in the studio and you'd have a band ready to record, and the telephone would ring, dring, dring, dring. Hello? George would answer it. Hello? And the guy would say, we're putting the needle on the record now, Mr. Martin. Said, thank you very much. 1, 2, 3, do. And they do the song.
One take wonder.
That was it. And I said, George, what happened if anyone got it wrong? He said, they didn't. And it was like, of course.
And I wonder what you think about the furore there's been to do with music streaming. Taylor Swift famously removed her catalogue. I think you did 2 or 3 years ago from Spotify. How do you feel about people streaming music and therefore, I guess, earning artists very small amounts of money?
You know, I feel sorry for the young composer who's written what may be his only hit, and it's huge, and he doesn't get paid for it. I don't think that's right.
You aren't afraid of embracing new technology. You have a virtual reality project out at the moment you're working on. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it sounds very grand. It sounds like I have a project out. It actually was, we were going to make the music video, and someone said, have you seen this virtual reality thing? And yeah, I was amazed. It was, wow, you stand there looking like an idiot because you're looking around, the back and everything. And I happened to say to the guy who gave me the demo, do you want to come along? Do you want to film one of our numbers? And I always like looking at the front row, just see their reaction. So you can watch us on the band, and just when the bangs go off, you can turn around in the virtual reality and you see the reactions. And what I liked was talking to the guy about it. He was getting all very inspired because he was saying, this could be great for education. He said, you've got inner city kids who've never been anywhere, said, and you can take them with this to the Taj Mahal, and they can look around. You can take them to the countryside. You can, you know, I think that is a great use for it.
Can I check one really geeky fact before?
Yeah.
Do you know every piece of trivia there is to know about you?
I doubt it.
Because I came across something on a website years ago, and it's the thing I know about you.
Oh, I might know it. Go
Sir
on.
Paul McCartney is the only artist in the world to have had a #1 as a solo artist, as part of a duo, as part of a trio, as part of a 4-piece, as part of a 5-piece, as part of a 6-piece, as part of a 9-piece, and as part of a great big collaboration, which is Band Aid. Did you know that about yourself?
No, I didn't. Oh, my God.
That's my life's work. I've told you something about yourself that you didn't know. That's my dinner party fact.
That's amazing. I think he's working too hard.
Yeah. Sir Paul McCartney, thank you so much for your time.
You're
Great to meet you.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
Sir Paul McCartney, whose opinion matters.
Argue with that. Right, next up, a look at this week's tech news. President